The night fractures inside an underground parking garage as footsteps echo too close. A masked silhouette exhales chemicals, and darkness floods her vision while engines idle somewhere unseen. Consciousness returns beneath antiseptic air and distant beeping that never sinks. Bandages press her eyes as time stretches, making every sound feel like a test. Gloves brush her cheeks while a calm voice explains permanence without apology. The words land heavier than pain, sealing a future she never consented to. Another voice enters, confident, cataloging questions like inventory. She answers from memory alone, sensing skepticism sharpen with every breath. Transport blurs into weightless motion she cannot recall. When doors open, city noise rises and falls like a rehearsed performance. The corridor smells new, too new, with silence padding each step. A voice beside her narrates space as if reading a script. Inside the apartment, distances are explained before they're earned. He promises routine, boundaries, and help that sounds almost rehearsed. Alone, she tests the room with bare feet and counting breaths. The walls answer inconsistently, as if swallowing echoes on purpose. Calls go unanswered, every ring ending too quickly. Isolation hardens into a shape she can finally grasp. Morning arrives on schedule with footsteps at the door. He brings food and a cheerful tone that avoids questions expertly. He offers a small caged bird, describing its color with certainty. She accepts the description, feeling something tighten behind her eyes. At the window alcove, street noise surges like a river. At the second window, silence drops abruptly, unnaturally complete. His explanation feels thin, like glass stretched too far. She memorizes the difference, storing it for later. That night, crying threads through metal, distant yet intimate. She follows the sound until vents whisper secrets. She leaves a note next door, hoping voices have faces. Hope answers with hesitant knocks hours later. The neighbor's familiarity arrives too fast, details sliding into place. When touched, a fresh scar confirms fear. A warning lands like a dropped glass and shatters trust. The door closes, leaving echoes behind. She reports concerns, choosing caution over silence. Assurance returns polished, dismissive, and final. Patterns emerge, a car alarm at the same minute each day. Coincidence feels engineered, almost timed to footsteps. When confronted, reassurance returns wrapped in patience. Trust wavers, but routine tightens its grip. Late evening stretches thin when unfamiliar footsteps cross her living room. A low voice warns her to stop listening, then vanishes into forced silence. Fear overrides protocol, and she calls for help she knows by schedule. Relief arrives wrapped in controlled breathing and practiced calm. He stays longer than usual, voice lowering into confession. When affection surfaces, she retreats, choosing survival over comfort. The door closes with unfamiliar finality. Minutes later, the air changes, sharp and chemical, pulling memory back into terror. Hands grip her shoulders as a syringe presses close. She manages one emergency call before darkness cuts the line. She wakes unhurt, untouched, and doubted. No marks, no intruder, no evidence, only her shaking certainty. Cameras confirm nothing entered after routine departure. Reality begins slipping, eroding confidence one denial at a time. Left alone again, she catalogs sounds, taps, and breaths. Patterns harden into proof only she can hear. Despair sharpens into resolve at the balcony rail. The city hum feels pre-recorded, distant, unreal. She steps forward, and drops barely a body length. Impact doesn't come, padded flooring answers instead. Walls reveal themselves through touch, seamless and doorless. Speakers breathe traffic into the room on command. She follows the sound source, tracing cables she was never meant to find. The city exists only as noise. The familiar alarm blares again at the same minute. She climbs back inside, mapping lies into certainty. Escape routes collapse into dead ends. Hallways loop, doors refuse, and freedom recedes with every step. She knocks next door, demanding truth. A familiar voice answers, claiming permanence without hesitation. Dinner preparations begin like nothing changed. Cutlery aligns with ritual precision, betraying obsession. At the table, a double knock marks presence. Recognition strikes, every visitor shared that signal. Truth assembles violently, voices, roles, costumes, all one source. She hides panic behind compliance. She spills her drink deliberately, reaching for weight and leverage. Wood meets skull in a decisive swing. Keys and a device change hands. She runs on instinct, counting turns and breaths. The neighboring unit opens into emptiness. Racks of clothing whisper answers she never wanted. Masks, gloves, uniforms, every role archived. Control was never shared. Hidden behind panels, another room breathes. A restrained presence confirms she isn't alone. The neighbor speaks freely now, admitting blood ties and shared guilt. Escape requires trust forged in fear. Footsteps return, heavier with anger. Time fractures into decisions measured in seconds. She's seized and dragged back, strength overwhelming preparation. The air thickens with inevitability. Inside his room, vents exhale cool promise. Hope narrows to a single opening. He talks while she listens for gaps. Childhood confinement, imagined companions, and borrowed light spill out. Music becomes motive, obsession reframed as salvation. He wanted to replace darkness with himself. She fires the device, buying seconds, not freedom. The vent resists, cruelly small. Her fingers find a vial taped inside. Recognition floods her hands with certainty. When he rises, she acts without hesitation. The balance of sight finally shifts. Pain replaces control as he collapses. The neighbor rushes in, keys shaking but determined. Guided through twists and thresholds, real air finally breaks the pattern. Night feels unscripted. Sirens grow without looping. Reality answers with chaos instead of cues. Months pass measured by sound and memory. Recovery is work, not miracle. A stage waits somewhere unseen. Applause exists as vibration and breath. She steps forward, no longer guided by lies. Darkness remains, but it's hers now. The story closes on survival earned, not restored. Control is reclaimed through choice. Weeks later, silence feels different, no longer staged. Every sound arrives imperfect, carrying the weight of chance. She learns new routes by texture and slope, mapping the world honestly this time. Fear recedes into disciplined awareness. Authorities revisit the building, stripping panels and lies away. The fake city dies piece by piece. She listens as truth is catalogued aloud. Each confirmation steadies something fractured inside her. The neighbor's testimony breaks last illusions of partnership. Complicity has a voice, and it trembles. Nightmares return, but now she controls waking. She breathes through echoes instead of obeying them. Music re-enters her life cautiously, fingertip by fingertip. Sound becomes anchor, not memory. Practice is uneven, honest, exhausting. Each note proves autonomy still exists. Outside, traffic refuses to loop. Randomness becomes comfort. She moves residences, choosing imperfection over familiarity. New walls haven't learned her yet. The first night tests resolve. Every creak demands evaluation, not panic. Morning arrives without cues or schedules. Freedom sounds messy, alive. Rehabilitation sessions rebuild confidence through repetition. Progress is slow, undeniable. A letter arrives detailing his sentencing. Closure arrives clinically, without drama. She listens to the words read aloud, feeling nothing at first. Then relief settles quietly. Invitations come cautiously from the outside world. She chooses one, on her terms. Backstage hum replaces fabricated noise. The space breathes with people, not speakers. She counts steps onto unfamiliar flooring. Applause waits beyond perception, patient. The first note trembles, then steadies. Control returns through sound she commands. Music fills space honestly, without manipulation. The past loosens its grip. Applause arrives as vibration, unmistakably real. She bows toward sound, not sight. Afterward, silence feels earned, not enforced. She lingers, listening to it fade. Returning home, no routines greet her. Freedom means building anew each day. She removes the birdcage, memory finally released. No voice defines color anymore. The city outside remains unpredictable, beautifully flawed. She smiles at its inconsistency. Sleep comes without scripts or loops. Dreams lose their edges. Morning light exists whether she sees it or not. Time moves forward, indifferent. She steps outside alone, counting nothing. Independence announces itself quietly. The building door closes behind her without echo. No one waits inside anymore. Street sounds collide unpredictably. She navigates by choice, not fear. A memory surfaces, then dissolves. Power no longer lives there. She breathes deeply, grounding herself in now. Survival becomes routine, not miracle. The past loses its authority. Control belongs solely to her decisions. She plays again at home, imperfect and free. Sound answers honestly. The city hum no longer threatens. It simply exists. She rests, knowing truth doesn't require vision. Awareness is enough. No voices guide her steps now. Only intention remains. The world reveals itself through choice and consequence. That is enough. Survival becomes identity, not injury. She owns every step ahead. The lie-built world is gone. What remains is real, unfinished, and hers. Time stretches forward without intrusion. Healing becomes maintenance, not struggle. She trains her memory to replace architecture. Spaces become reliable through repetition. The past intrudes less often now. When it does, it arrives muted. She donates items once tied to captivity. Letting go feels deliberate, powerful. Outside help becomes collaboration, not dependence. Control remains shared only by choice. Her music changes tone, less desperate, more grounded. Survival reshapes expression. She performs again, not for redemption, but continuity. Life didn't stop, it redirected. Applause fades, but confidence stays. Validation is no longer required. Night settles naturally, without fear cues or alarms. Silence finally behaves. She reflects not on what was taken, but what remained. Identity survived intact. Morning routines resume without effort. Independence becomes invisible. The building no longer feels like a maze. It's simply shelter now. She pauses, acknowledging how far she's come. Survival reshaped her boundaries. The city breathes freely beyond walls and speakers. Reality no longer needs proof. Fear becomes memory, memory becomes lesson. Control stays with her. She locks the door behind her without hesitation. Safety is internal now. Every step forward confirms the truth. She was never broken, only tested. The world remains dangerous, unpredictable, alive. She meets it prepared. Her story ends not in rescue, but authorship. Survival is the resolution. What remains is real life, unscripted, imperfect, owned. And she steps into it willingly. She stops recording warnings about danger. Now she records proof of life. The nightmare ends not with forgetting, but with knowing. Her story no longer belongs to anyone else. Every day resets, but the truth stays. She survives, fully aware, and that is enough.